cybersecurity isn't working. It's a pretty bold statement. Let's put some context around that. So it's not that it isn't working completely, it's just it's not working for everyone. And we have a lot of data to back that up. In 2023, $8 trillion in damages. If it were a country, cybercrime would have been the third largest economy on the planet. And it's actually getting worse. We're expecting $10 trillion in damages and losses from cybercrime this year. To put that in perspective, that's like a tsunami hitting all of the west coast of the United States every single year. Breach costs are up. Average cost of a breach is over $4 million. For small businesses, roughly $100,000. And here's the saddest part of all. Cybersecurity has something called the cybersecurity poverty line, meaning that you can't afford to buy the security that you actually need, and that keeps you out of the global economy. Most of the world cannot afford good cybersecurity. So we're spending trillions. Nope, we're actually spending billions, and we're losing trillions. So what's happening? Is it a technology problem? No, we actually know exactly how to keep people safe. It's a behavioral science problem, not a computer science problem. And I know it's a behavioral science problem because I keep seeing the same behavior over and over and over again. Listen, the global economy is a fragile thing, and it's easy to disrupt it from a cybercriminal's point of view. And it turns out that the solution is actually a behavioral science solution. It's about language, it's about communication. So if you are somebody who sees a risk, look out, there's an iceberg. And I say beep, boop, bop, boop, boop, and I say nerd talk to you, you don't know that there's an iceberg. So the language problem is how we actually speak about cybersecurity to people, and can they absorb that into their brains. So if I just said beep, bop, boop at you, and you're thinking, I know cybercrime is dangerous, but I don't understand what Adam just said, well, then I really don't know how much effort to put into a thing. And the unknown is actually what causes apathy. So when risk is confusing, we don't understand the consequences, we then don't take action. And so the entire purpose of defeating cybercrime is actually about keeping you safe and actually understanding those consequences. So remove confusion. To remove confusion, we must speak the language of the victims of cybercrime. So the question now is, who is the victim of cybercrime? Well, statistically, 70% of the world's population work for small and mid-sized businesses over the globe, which means to me the actual victim of cyber crime is the small businesses of the world, which means that the language we need to speak is business. So this is me in my 30s. I was super big into CrossFit. I launched my first company back when I was 26. Somewhere along the line, I figured I should hang out with other entrepreneurs and learn how to actually run a company. So I joined a mastermind group with 170 other CEOs, and I was the only nerd. Everyone else, blue-collar companies, everyone else doing very, very well. So guess who got phone calls for 9 years straight from scared CEOs? That was me. And I did a great job. I picked up the phone, I was like, don't worry, baby girl. Listen, all you got to do is follow the NIST framework for the 800 standards, and that's going to get you checked out. And oh, by the way, you really need to use your CIS controls, and that'll help you with your regulatory requirements. And by the way, you're going to want cyber insurance, so you better have multi-factor, blah, blah, nerd, nerd, nerd. This is all they heard. This is all they heard. But I felt great. I was doing my thing. I said the right thing. And it didn't matter because they couldn't hear it and they couldn't absorb it. So here's what I do now. I keep the nerd stuff in my head. And I only speak about the consequences of cybercrime to business people. That lets them have actionable insights onto why should I care and how much effort should I put into being safe. By the way, if you really want to get a business person's attention, talk to them about cash flow disruption. Business people love money, so talk about their money. Yeah, she gets it. She's thumbs up. All right, so I wasn't connecting with CEOs until I started talking about cybercrime in their native language. And on the left, you have cyber risk. On the right, you have business risk. And in the middle is that holistic view of what they need to see. There's actually two very straightforward frameworks for this. And don't worry, we're not going to spend a long time on this slide. You have the NIST cybersecurity framework that the nerds understand, which is how do I identify my important stuff? How do I protect my important stuff from cyber criminals? How do I detect when the bad guys are messing with my important stuff? How do I recover and respond after they've messed with my stuff? And the governance in the middle is how do I communicate to everyone, am I doing the things that I said I was going to do? The stuff on the right is what's called a business risk assessment. These are the things that answer the questions, how bad could a breach be? How likely is a breach to happen? And will cyber insurance actually be able to help me? And finally, how do I amortize risk over time so I understand what the actual cost of the breach is, not in the big scary number, but from a month-by-month risk point of view. And this is the real thing. Business owners don't want to read your frameworks. They want to see pictures, they want to see graphs, and they want to play with data. So you have to visualize risk in the same way that they want to be able to understand it. Great. So we solved the problem. That's super easy. We're all done. You guys can get early. No, wait. Sorry. There's another problem with cybersecurity. And I call this the workforce paradox. Bless your heart if you are a brand new cybersecurity nerd baby trying to find a job. Because you show up and you say, listen, I am going to be a great cybersecurity professional, and the people who are doing the hiring said, you need 5 years experience. What's happening is we're asking these cybersecurity people to actually have certifications that require real-world experience, but there is no real-world experience to give them. So there's this huge dearth of jobs. Millions of jobs are available. We have millions of cybersecurity professionals being trained, and they're not crossing. It's not making it happen. So there's actually one part of this is the HR folks who are trying to help and hire are actually not understanding the requirements. We've seen resumes, we've seen job postings out there that are saying, hey, you have to be proficient in this particular kind of technology, and that technology has been obsolete for 5 years, but they just never updated the thing. So the entire process of bringing jobs to cybersecurity people and matching cybersecurity professionals with the jobs is very, very difficult right now. Basically what we say to new cybersecurity folks, hey, welcome to cybersecurity. Come back when you're already here. So who's going to save us from all this? I'm glad you asked. That was a great question. Managed service providers. We're going to depend on outsourced IT providers to provide bespoke services to the small and mid-sized business market. What is an MSP? An MSP provides, hey, I'm going to help you with your printer. I'm going to make sure that your laptop can connect to the internet. I'm going to make sure that all of your technology, such as email, works flawlessly. And I'm even going to help you with cybersecurity. The problem is that MSPs are often under-resourced to find good people to hire. We have every time I talk to somebody inside of the MSP world, they're like, I need a new cybersecurity person. I need a new sales engineer. I need somebody who actually understands the technology from a cyber point of view, not just from an IT point of view. And so, voila, it looks like we have a match made in heaven. MSPs are a $300 billion market that's going to grow to over $800 billion in the next 10 years. These will be the people who are solving the global cybersecurity and cybercrime problem. So find an MSP, shake their hand, make sure they hire the right nerds. Now, how do they find the nerds? That's a great question. This is where nonprofits come in. So there's a nonprofit that I'm a part of called CyberRise, and what CyberRise does is it helps MSPs in some of their darkest times. There's an offering called MSP 911. If an MSP is breached or they have a security concern, they can call, and it's a bunch of cyber professionals there to help MSPs. We have the framework mapping, which is part of the how do we organize all the different security things into one simple and easy to understand package so MSPs know exactly what to be offering to keep people safe. And finally, we have what I'm in charge of, which is the hackening. And that is the apprenticeship program where we bring baby cybersecurity people in. We teach them how to do vulnerability scans, pen tests, tabletop exercises, and business risk assessments. And we pair those babypreneurs and baby cybersecurity professionals with managed service providers, and they practice on them. And over time, the MSPs then hire them. It's beautiful. Let me show you how this works. We start with a sad business owner. Oh no, cybercrime, I'm so sad. Cash flow disruption. Then we have a sad nerd. Oh no, I just graduated and I have no work experience and I don't speak business. I can't get a job. And then you have MSPs. Oh my gosh, you guys are asking us to solve all of cybercrime. I'm under-resourced. I need help. Enter the nonprofit world, where we train the nerd, we pair them with the MSP, and lo and behold, boom, nerd's happy, has a job. Boom, MSP has great people working for them and actually can now help the small business owners. And the small business owner is happy because now they can focus on just doing their work. So, when we get a supply chain that allows me to bring a brand new cybersecurity professional through the entire process, we can finally start to address the critical giant problem of cybercrime, where we're spending billions, but we're still losing trillions. And when the supply chain works, and when MSPs have access to the kind of people they need that are already trained and already tried, well, now we are having trillions saved, not trillions lost. We're making the world a much safer place, and we're putting millions of people to work all over the world. And I think that's something that's worth spreading, and I think that's a great idea that is worth sharing. So thank you so much.